Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum, my dear students, to your 12th class. And today, after we have talked about the countable and non-countable last time, today we're going to talk about comparatives and superlatives. And this is one of the cornerstones of English grammar skills. Let us start first of all. We will have at the end like kind of short exercises to fix actually all what we, to make sure that you have understood all what we have taken. Now we're going to, this is the content of our class. We will start what is a noun, what is an adjective, and what is a syllable. After that we will start talking about comparative form and superlative form and how can we build both forms of adjectives. Let us start first. What is a noun? Noun is a word which refers to a thing, person, activity, place, etc. It can be a car, a teacher, or maybe the process, the act of reading, or maybe a street. What is an adjective? An adjective is a word which describes a noun, like we say big car, fast car, and as well we say expensive car. So all of usually the adjectives they come before nouns. They describe nouns. What is a syllable? In English, it's very important to know the syllabifications of some words. A syllable is a part of a word containing vowel sound. If you can see here, you know the vowel sound. I'm not talking about, imagine, we're talking about sounds. We are not talking about letters. And there is a difference. For example, if you look at this example, reading, reading, reading. How many syllables we have? Reading, reading. We have two syllables. The first syllable has a vowel sound, E, read, and ing. So we have two syllables, the first syllable and the second syllable. Now, syllables in English can be, some words they can be one syllable adjectives like fast, long, and big, cheap. So all of these, they have one syllable adjective. And some other words, they have actually two syllables like happy, 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 crazy, crazy, and dirty, dirty. They have two syllables. There is always a pause between each syllable. هناك وقت قصير ما بين كل مقطع وآخر. Also, some other words, they have more than two syllables. They have three syllables like important, wonderful. So all of they have three syllables. So as you can see, words in English, adjectives, whether adjectives or nouns or verbs, or maybe adverbs, they have syllables, okay? Syllabifications help you to pronounce the words correctly and accurately. Now, let us start right here. The comparative form and superlative, the comparative form of an adjective or adverb compares two things. هذا الcomparative. In the comparative, we compare two things. Superlative of an adjective or adverb compares three things or more. Three things of more things, okay? What is a comparative form? Comparative form expresses the idea of more. مثلا نحكي fast, faster, يعني more fast. My car is fast, but his car is faster than mine. يعني more fast than mine. لكن ما بنقدر نحكي more fast. الآن حناخذ القواعد اللي كيف ممكن نستخدم ER أو more. How is a comparative form built? حكينا إنه في عندنا بعض الكلمات ممكن يكون لها مقطع أو مقطعين أو ثلاث مقاطع أو أكثر. لاحظوا الآن هذه القواعد مهمة. If we have one syllable adjective like long, we add ER. لكن if we have two syllable adjectives ending in ly أو y, like funny, we actually change y into I and we add ER فتصبح funnier. فالواي أصبحت I وأضفنا الER في حالة إنه في عندنا two syllables ومنتهية بالواي أو واي. بينما إذا كانت if we have other words or adjectives they have 2 or 3 syllables like modern, in this case we cannot say moderner. We should say more modern. We should use more modern to make a comparative form. However, as you know, every rule has an exception. كل قاعدة إلها استثناء. And the exception of this rule is good. Good is called irregular adjective. The irregular adjective, we cannot use ER or more with irregular adjectives because they have different shape. They have different comparative form. At the end of this class, I'll provide you with a list of irregular adjectives. سأزودكم بقائمة من هذه الصفات الاستثنائية أو الشاذة. ولحسن الحظ, we have only like few words. So what is the comparative form of good? It is better. We say he is better than him. His grade is higher than him. Okay? What is a superlative form? Superlative form expresses the idea of most. بينما الcomparative expresses the idea of more. لاحظوا الآن الفرق. With the superlative, what is the superlative form of fast? Fast is one actually long syllable. So we say fastest. My car is fast. Your car is fast. But his car is the fastest. Is the fastest. What are the rules of superlative form? We have actually almost the same rules. If an adjective has only one syllable, like long, we say longest. If we have an adjective have two syllables and ending in ly أو y, مثل funny, we change y into I and then we add est and it becomes funniest. لاحظوا, y becomes I and then we add est. If we have words with two more syllables, or actually more than 2 syllables or 3 syllables, then we should use most modern. We use most. So if I ask you, for example, what is the superlative form of modern, you should not say modernist. It's incorrect answer. The correct answer is most modern. Also, every rule has an exception, and the exception of this rule is good. And good is considered irregular adjective. We cannot say goodest. We should say best. Okay? He is the best student in the class. Here is kind of a comparison between comparative and superlative. We said with one syllable adjective, we add ER and it becomes longer to make a comparative form. And the superlative form of long is longest. And we said with adjectives that have 2 syllables and ending in y or ly, in this case we change y into I and we add ER to make a comparative form of funny. And it becomes funnier. And with the case of superlative, we change y into I and then we add est to make a superlative form of funny and it becomes funniest. Modern has more than 2 syllables. In this case, we use more to make comparative form of modern, and we said more modern. And we use most to make a superlative form of modern, and it becomes most modern. We said both comparatives and superlatives have a kind of irregular or an exception. And the exception was good. We cannot say gooder or goodest. We should say better and best. At the end of this class, I will provide you with a list of the irregular adjectives and irregular adverbs. To make a comparative and superlative forms of adjectives, some rules must be followed. أخذنا أول قاعدة إنه ممكن تكون one single. It may have one syllable adjectives. We add er, like tall, tallest, neat, neater, neatest, deep, deeper, deepest. And this one syllable at least should have, لأنه حكينا, each syllable should have a vowel sound. Okay? Rule number 2, some words they end with E. One, wide, is actually one syllable adjective, ends with E. Fine is actually the same. And cute, all of them, they have one syllable word, and all of them end with E. In this case, we need only to add R to make a comparative form of these one syllable adjectives. And we only need to add ST if you want to make a superlative. So we say wide, wider, widest. لكن من الخطأ إن نضيف ER مرة أخرى. هذا خطأ. أو EST. لأنه الE already موجودة هنا. So we need just to add R or ST. Rule number 3. Sometimes one actually syllable adjective ends with a vowel and consonant. لاحظوا مثل هذه sad, big, fat. All of them are one syllable adjectives. They end with vowels and consonant. Vowel and consonant. Vowel and consonant. If you want to make a comparative form of a one syllable adjective ends with a vowel and consonant, you need to double the consonant. double يعني تضاعفهم فتصبح الجملة كالآتي: sadder. بعدين بتضيف الER. أيضا في حالة السوبرلاتيف نفس الشيء، ضاعفنا حرف الساكن وأضفنا EST. أيضا هنا نفس الشيء big، ضاعفنا الحرف الساكن وأضفنا الER. وفي حالة السوبرلاتيف ضاعفنا الحرف الساكن وأضفنا EST. Well, the same thing with fat. fat ضاعفنا الحرف الساكن وأضفنا ER. وفي حالة السوبرلاتيف ضاعفنا الحرف الساكن T وأضفنا EST. Rule number 4. To form the comparative or superlative of a two-syllable word ending in Y, هذا أخذناها, change Y into I and then add ER or EST. وأخذنا مثال funny، لكن على شاكلتها happy. Two-syllable adjective. We change Y into I and then we add ER to make a comparative form. The same thing with the superlative. We change Y into I and then we add EST. ونفس الشيء عملنا مع jolly, jollier, jolliest. lazy, lazier, laziest. ففي حالة إذا كان في عندنا two syllable adjectives ending in Y أو LY, we need to change the Y into I, then we add ER to make a comparative adjective form of form, and then we change IY and we add EST to make a superlative form as in these examples. Rule 5. To form the comparative or superlative of a two-syllable word ending a vowel sound that is not stressed, then we add ER or EST. And this is just understand it as the first rule. We have two syllables right here. In this case, only we add R, and in this case we add R, because both of these adjectives ends with the vowels. And if you want to make a superlative form of them, you need to add ST, ST. Usually, the vowels, if a word has a vowel at the end, مثلا هذا vowel هذا vowel، هذول بنسموهم not stressed. شو يعني not stressed؟ يعني ما بنحكي gently، ما عليها تركيز في الصوت، هي لا تلفظ أصلا، نحكي gentle simple. في هذه الحالة نضيف فقط R أو ER أو EST. أوكي؟ لكن أضفنا R لأن هذه الجملة انتهت في R. بالنسبة ليلو نفس الشيء، الأو هذه كلها أو، هذا الحرف is not stressed، it's mingled with O. yellow yellow كأنه هذا مو موجود yellow. ففي هذه الحالة أضفنا ER و EST. هذه هي القواعد at a glance. All of these rules we have discussed during the previous slides. Please try to, I just put it in the chart to make it easy for you instead of going back and forth to studying by yourself. Try to test yourself by putting more exams and try to do it by yourself. Follow the rules and you will be on the safe side. Now, like adjectives, some adverbs can take comparative and superlative. In the last slides, we've talked about adjectives, but now we're going to talk about adverbs. And they have almost the same rules like adjectives. However, there is a difference between adjective and adverb. The adjective describes nouns, but the adverbs describes verbs. لاحظوا, Sally works hard. Sally subject, work verb, hard, adverb. Adverb describes verbs. Steve works harder than Sally. لاحظوا, hard تتكون مقطع صوتي واحد فقط أضفنا لها ال ER. Steve works هذا الفعل harder than Sally. Harder than describes works. Kathy and Sue work the hardest of all. هذه صيغة superlatives. دائما في الكومباراتيفز تكون صيغة الكومباراتيف لأي فعل مقترن بذان، متبوع بذان، بينما شكل السوبرلاتيف يكون مسبوق، لاحظ hardest نضيف طبعا ال EST للفعل، بيكون مسبوق بذا وملحوق إما ب of أو in، وهذا حسب السياق. لكن في هذا السياق نحكي of all. لكن نحكي he is the best student in the class. Okay? Here we have more examples regarding the adverbs. The bird sings loudly. The moose sang louder than the bird. Pete sang the loudest of all of them all. Here we have a list of adverbs in which we add er and ast. Fast, faster, fastest, slow, slower, slowest, quick, quicker, quickest, early, earlier. لاحظوا يعني هذا كان one syllable أضفنا لها فقط ER أو EST في حالة السوبرلاتيف و ER في حالة comparative. لكن early متكونة هي two syllable sounds ends with Y أو LY. في هذا الحالة we change Y into I وبنضيف لها ER to make a comparative form. وفي حالة السوبرلاتيف we change Y into I and then we add the EST to make a superlative form. Bright, brighter, brightest, high, higher, highest. However, the majority of adverbs do not take these endings. Instead, they form the comparative using more and the superlative using most. في بعض الadverbs اللي they have more than two syllables. They have 3 syllables. If you want to make a comparative form of recently has more than 2 syllables. So you need to use more recently. أيضا effectively, more effectively, frequently, more frequently. هذول كلهم adverbs. We use نفس قاعدة adjectives أو comparative adjectives. الadjectives اللي فيها أكثر من مقطعين صوتيين، 3 مقاطع أو أكثر. لكن if you want to make a superlative form of these adverbs, you need to add most recently, most effectively, and most frequently. Okay? Irregular we have some comparative and superlative forms are called irregular. They don't follow any of these rules that we have taken. We cannot add ER, we cannot add EST, we cannot use more, we cannot use actually most with them. And these are as the following. We will take them right after these two things. However, before we actually give you provide you with a list, let us just we have a look at this one. As I told you, comparatives are commonly followed by than. John is taller than, more intelligent than, okay? And we use a comparative, why? To describe who is the other person or thing involved in the comparison. John is taller than me. Who is John? The one who is taller than me. So here we are talking about the uses. Either we have, we can use much, we can use also much, a lot, far, a bit, all of these qualities, quantifiers, with the comparatives. مثلا, you should go by train, it would be much cheaper. يعني مش أرخص، أرخص بكثير. Could you be a bit quieter? ممكن تشوف تكون أهدى شوي. فش a bit بمعنى شوي أو قليل. Okay. أيضا two comparatives can be contrasted by placing the before them. ممكن نحط they can be contrasted by placing the before them, indicating that a change in one equality is linked to a change in another equality. مثلا خذوا هذا المثال. The smaller the gift, the easier it is to send. لاحظوا, we have two comparatives. They are contrasted and we use the before each one of them. This indicates if I change smaller into bigger, هذا تغير صح في الجملة, change, then this one should be change. شو هو الopposite؟ اللي هي more difficult. عكس easier, more difficult. ما بحكي difficulter ليه؟ لأن difficult has more than two syllables. ما بحكي more difficult. So the smaller the gift, the easier it is to send. لكن if we have a change, the bigger the gift, the more difficult it is to send. Okay? Also, we use the comparatives can also be linked with and to show a continuing increasing in a particular quality. بتدل على إنه هناك في تزايد في كمية أو في نوعية معينة. مثلا, the sea was getting rougher and rougher. لاحظوا الcomparative كيف استخدامه. أصبح أقوى أو أصرخ فأصرخ. Her illness was becoming worse and worse. مرضها أصبح أسوأ فأسوأ وهكذا. أما استخدام superlatives are often used on their own if it is clear what or who is being compared. And if you want to be specific about what you are comparing, you do this with a noun or a phrase beginning with in or of. Okay? Annabelle was the youngest child. بدنا نحكي Annabelle was the youngest of the children. أو this restaurant is the best in town. Okay? The opposites of comparatives and superlatives. في هناك نقائض. More هي أكثر. شو أقل عكسها أقل. شو بنحكي less. بينما most أيضا معناتها أقل، لكن الأقل أو عفوا الأكثر، لكن عكسها الأقل اللي هي بمعنى less. So less is to indicate that something or someone does not have as much of a particular quality as someone or something else. The sofa is less comparable. لكن لو بدي أعكس الجملة بحكي more comparable. أما less is used to indicate that something or someone has less of a quality than any other person or thing of its kind. مثلا, it is the least expensive way to travel. إذا بدي أعكسها بحكي the most expensive. هذه أيضا قائمة be irregular. This is a kind of a short list of the irregular adverbs. You cannot say badlier or badliest. You should say worse, worst, much, more, most, little, least, much, more, most, will, better, best. So you need to memorize them. لازمكم تحفظوهم. This is the only way. And here we have irregular adjective, as I promised you. We have God, good, better, best, bad, worse, worst, much, more, most, little, least, father, farthest, old, elder, older, or elder, oldest, or eldest. Here we have also another example using one of the irregular adjectives. Nathan made good stew. Molly's stew was better than Nathan's. Isra made the best of all. لاحظوا في مسألة good هذه simple adjective, هنا comparative adjective, and هنا superlative form of an adjective. Good, better, best. لاحظوا في مسألة superlative is always preceded by the and followed by either of أو in, وهذا حسب السياق. بينما في comparative it's always commonly followed by than, commonly followed. Here we have kind of exercise. I want you to do it by yourself. I will just do one of these actually. The weather in winter is than it is in summer. مجرد ما اطلعت على هذه الجملة I will find than, and you will come to know that, okay, it's a comparative form. Then I need to look for a comparative form of an adjective. Colder, cold, coldest, coldest. The correct answer is colder. Cold is a one-syllable adjective. We add er to make a comparative form. بينما est هذه بنحكي لها superlative form. Do the rest 2 and 3 by yourself. Now here we have also a group of a question. What is the comparative of sad? نحكي sad حكينا بأنه هي احنا بنحكي عن comparative الآن اللي هو الER. انتهت بحرف vowel وساكن، يضاعف الحرف الساكن ويضاف إلى ER، وهذا ما حصل في 2. What is the comparative of distractive? Distractive has more than 2 syllables and we are looking for comparative. So ER أو more، شو لازم نختار؟ more destructive، لأن more تستخدم with the comparative form of adjectives that have more than 2 syllables. What is the superlative of, what is the comparative of hot? hot مثلا حكينا انتهت بحرف ساكن، طبعا هي مقطع صوتي واحد، انتهت بحرف علة وحرف ساكن، نضاعف الحرف الساكن ونضيف له ER فتصبح hotter. What is the superlative of unpleasant? And unpleasant حكينا عنها بأنه هي more than 2 syllables. إما بنستخدم، بحكي عن superlative، إما بنستخدم est أو most، لكن هي تتكون أكثر مقطعين صوتيين إذا بنستخدم most unpleasant. Please do this one and the following by yourself and try to follow the rules. You must follow the rules to actually choose the correct answer. If you have any question, just try to contact me at my email. Thank you so much for listening and hopefully you have enjoyed this class. Wa assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.